Denzel Washington is one of Hollywood's greatest actors, known not just for his amazing talent but for being a good person who never gave up on his beliefs. For over 40 years, he's shown the world what it means to have strong character even when things get tough. He was born on December 28, 1954, in Mount Vernon, New York, a small working-class town near New York City. His mom, Lennis, owned a small hair salon and worked really hard to take care of her 3 kids. His dad was a preacher named Reverend Denzel Washington Sr., who was strict and didn't show much emotion. When Denzel was 14, his parents got divorced, and it broke something inside him. His dad pretty much disappeared from his life, and years later Denzel admitted he didn't even cry at his father's funeral because they never really connected. After the divorce, Denzel started hanging out with the wrong crowd, kids who got into trouble. His mom saw what was happening and got scared that her son wouldn't have a good future, so she made a tough choice and sent him to Oakland Military Academy. At first, Denzel felt like she was punishing him, but years later he realized she saved his life. The military school taught him discipline and gave him direction when he needed it most. When he went to Fordham University in the early 1970s, life was really hard. He was poor, often hungry, and worked every job he could find just to survive, from janitor to delivery boy. Then in the summer of 1975, something changed. He was working at a YMCA camp teaching kids to swim when they had a talent show. Someone asked him to perform, and when he did, people loved it. A woman in the crowd told him he was born to act, and something clicked inside him. He switched his major to drama, graduated in 1977, and went to acting school in San Francisco. Those years were incredibly lonely and difficult, with nights where he barely had food to eat, but his faith kept him going. He started getting small roles, and slowly his career began to grow. Movies like Glory earned him his first Oscar, and then came bigger roles in films like Malcolm X, Philadelphia, and Training Day, which won him another Oscar. But even as he became famous, Denzel never forgot where he came from. In 1986, before he was really famous, someone offered him a role that would have made him lots of money, but the script was wrong. It turned pain into entertainment in a bad way. He asked Sidney Poitier for advice, who told him that his first few movies would define who he was as a person. Denzel turned down the role and walked away from easy money to protect his values. Throughout his career, he's been known for picking roles that mean something and for being honest in an industry full of fake people. When the September 11th attacks happened, he went back to New York not as a celebrity but as someone who cared, standing among the dust and broken buildings with tears in his eyes. He's also been incredibly generous, quietly helping young actors pay for school, including Chadwick Boseman, who later became famous as Black Panther. Chadwick once called him Sir on set, and Denzel just smiled and said, "Call me brother." But Denzel's greatest success isn't his movies, it's his marriage. He met Pauletta Pearson in 1977 on the set of a small TV movie. On their first date, she paid the check, and he knew she was special. They got married in 1983 when he had nothing, just love and faith. Their first apartment was tiny with peeling wallpaper, but Pauletta would play piano at night while Denzel studied his scripts. As his career took off, he was gone a lot, working 16-hour days for weeks at a time. Pauletta became the heart of their home, raising their 4 kids mostly alone. Denzel admits he missed a lot of moments, but his wife never made him feel guilty. In 1995, they renewed their wedding vows in South Africa, and he realized that being present was more important than being successful. Now, 40 years later, their love is still strong. They pray together, cook together, and enjoy quiet mornings with coffee and scripture. Denzel says the secret is simple: faith. But life has also brought him deep pain. Losing his father taught him about the hurt of never really connecting with someone. When Whitney Houston died in 2012, it devastated him. They had worked together on The Preacher's Wife in 1996 and became close friends who shared a deep faith. She was incredibly talented, but the pressure of fame was too much for her, and one night she was gone. Denzel sat at her funeral with his head down, realizing that even the brightest stars can break when the world doesn't listen. Years later, another loss hit him hard. Chadwick Boseman, the young actor he had helped pay for school years earlier, had been fighting cancer in secret while making incredible movies. When Chadwick died in 2020 at just 43 years old, Denzel was heartbroken. He carried it all in secret, and Denzel never knew his friend was dying. At the memorial, the same gospel songs from Whitney's funeral played, and Denzel whispered that angels never tell you when they're leaving. But the deepest loss was his mother. Denzel Washington was the woman who saved him, the one who sent him away to protect him, the one who taught him right from wrong. When she passed away, it felt like the chapter that made him who he was had closed. He still calls her memory every Sunday in his heart, still hears her voice telling him to walk right. Now at 70 years old, Denzel has learned to accept that time comes for everyone. In 2013, he had a heart procedure that reminded him how fragile life really is. Lying in that hospital bed, listening to the monitors beep with his heartbeat, he realized his mom was right when she said to take care of your heart because that's where God speaks. He also developed a fear of heights later in life, something he laughs about now. These days, he doesn't run anymore, he walks. He lives in a beautiful home in Beverly Hills worth about $16 million, but it's not fancy or showy, just warm and filled with family photos. He's worth about $300 million, but has given away millions to charity, especially to the Boys and Girls Clubs of America that helped him as a kid. He's helped rebuild debate teams at colleges, supported wounded veterans, and funded programs for poor kids who want to study arts, often giving anonymously because he believes if you're going to give quietly. His 4 children, John, David, Katia, and twins Malcolm and Olivia, have all followed their own paths in film and storytelling, carrying on their parents' values. Family dinners at the Washington home are sacred, filled with laughter, prayer, and stories that go late into the night. Sometimes his grandchildren run across the lawn where he once rehearsed lines under the moonlight. He still acts, recently returning in The Equalizer 3, showing the world that real power comes from experience, not youth. He mentors young actors, teaching them that the most important thing isn't applause but having a purpose. When his days end, he stands outside his home looking over Los Angeles, the city lights twinkling below, the sky stretching above him, and he breathes slowly, feeling grateful just to be alive. Every morning, Denzel wakes up before the sun rises, just like his mother taught him. He brews coffee, opens his Bible, and reads the Psalms his mom loved most. Sometimes the words get blurry, not because his eyes are bad, but because remembering her makes him emotional. He closes the book, looks at the sunrise, and whispers, "You were right, Ma. God did have me." The warm golden light comes through his window, and for just a moment, he feels like she's still there with him, not as someone who's gone, but as a presence that never left. His body has changed over the years too. The man who used to do his own stunts and run across movie sets now moves a little slower. His hands ache after long days of filming, his knees get stiff on cold mornings, but he doesn't fight it anymore. He says that aging isn't about losing strength, it's about gaining peace. He's learned that courage isn't about not being scared, it's about moving forward even when you are afraid. That hospital stay in 2013 changed how he sees everything. When the doctors told him he needed a heart procedure, he had to face something he hadn't felt in years, being weak and vulnerable. Under those bright hospital lights, with machines beeping around him, he listened to his own heartbeat for the first time in decades and realized how amazing it was that his heart just kept beating. The nurse heard him whisper his mother's words about taking care of your heart because that's where God speaks. After he recovered, every breath felt special, every sunrise felt like a gift. He went home and grilled dinner in his backyard with gospel music playing softly, closed his eyes, and said, "Still here, still grateful." That scar on his chest became a reminder that even the strongest hearts need fixing sometimes, and that slowing down doesn't mean you're broken, it means you're learning to breathe again. His cars tell a story too, not of showing off, but of appreciating craftsmanship. He has a Rolls-Royce Ghost with a ceiling that looks like a starry sky, a Range Rover for family trips, an Aston Martin that represents precision like his acting, and a simple Audi A4 because he values things that work well over things that look flashy. He doesn't own a private jet or fancy boats because he believes you can't take wealth with you when you die, but you can pass on goodness while you're alive. His homes are beautiful but not overly fancy. The Beverly Hills mansion has 6 bedrooms, a library full of scripts and Bibles, and a backyard where the smell of grilled food mixes with jazz music floating through the air. Inside, there are rich wood finishes, soft lighting, and family photographs everywhere. No gold walls or expensive art just for show, only warmth and memories. A few miles away, he has another house in Century Woods where he goes to escape the noise of Hollywood. There, his mornings are peaceful with scripture reading, black coffee, and slow walks in the garden. The man who once raced through life now walks with the calmness of someone who's found what really matters. On movie sets now, he doesn't just act, he teaches. Young actors watch him carefully, learning that preparation and respect matter more than talent alone. He tells them that being comfortable is more dangerous than struggling because struggle makes you grow. When filming the Equalizer movies, even though his body hurt and he was exhausted, he kept going because he knows these films aren't just entertainment, they're messages about protecting people who can't protect themselves. Between takes, he sits quietly, conserving his energy, thinking about the character, praying silently. His co-stars say he has a presence that makes everyone work harder and be better. At home, Sunday mornings are special. Paletta plays piano while coffee brews, filling their house with melodies that have been the soundtrack of their 40-year marriage. Denzel reads scripture before the sun comes up, and in the evenings, he grills in the backyard while gospel music plays softly and his grandchildren chase fireflies through the garden. The crazy noise of Hollywood feels far away there. When reporters ask what the secret to his long marriage is, he just smiles and says one word: faith. Everything he is, his wife helped him become, and he knows it. She believed in him when he doubted himself, she prayed when he was too tired to pray, she held their home together while the world pulled him in every direction. They've had tough times, moments of silence that could have destroyed them, but their faith turned every struggle into a lesson. His philanthropy continues quietly. Since 1993, he's been a spokesperson for the Boys and Girls Clubs of America, the same organization that helped guide him when he was a confused kid in Mount Vernon. He later joined their board of governors and has funded mentorship programs and youth centers all across the country. He's given over $1 million to Wiley College to rebuild their historic debate team, and he's donated generously to Fordham University to help poor students study arts. His giving reaches beyond America too, from the Nelson Mandela Children's Fund in South Africa to the Fisher House Foundation that helps wounded veterans and their families. But he rarely talks about any of this because he believes that if you're going to do good, you should do it quietly and let the good speak for itself. When he thinks about Chadwick Boseman now, he sees it as both heartbreak and hope. Heartbreak because his friends suffered alone, hope because Chadwick's movies will inspire people forever. The same with Whitney Houston, her voice may have been silenced too soon, but her songs still lift people's spirits every single day. These losses taught Denzel that you have to tell people you love them while they're still here, you can't wait for later because later might not come. He's also learned that the people who smile the brightest are sometimes hurting the most, so we need to be kind to everyone because we never really know what battles they're fighting. His legacy isn't measured in awards or money, though he has plenty of both. It's measured in the lives he's touched, the students he's helped, the young actors he's mentored, the family he's built, and the example he's set. When people see Denzel Washington, they don't just see a movie star, they see a man who stayed true to his values even when the whole world was watching. They see someone who could have taken easy money but chose hard principles instead. They see a husband who's been faithful for 40 years in an industry where marriages fall apart constantly. They see a father who made sure his kids knew they were loved, something he never fully felt from his own father. Denzel Washington's story isn't just about becoming famous, it's about a boy from Mount Vernon who had nothing but turned his pain into purpose through faith, discipline, and love. He lost his father, his mother, dear friends like Whitney and Chadwick, but each loss taught him something about living right. Now at 70, when he steps outside and looks over the city lights of Los Angeles twinkling below and the endless sky stretching above, he breathes deeply and gives thanks not for what time has taken away, but for what it's allowed him to keep: his faith, his peace, and the grace to keep moving forward. He's proved that greatness isn't about being seen by everyone, it's about staying true to yourself even when nobody's watching, and that's why his legacy will last forever.